I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and part 2 of a dogfight between the HTC Windows Phone 8X and the Sony Xperia TL, both on AT&T, starts in just a second. But first, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like these for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game, which we turn around and give to you on the site at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They're going to help you set up your email, your web, all those settings, so when you walk out the door, your HD display looks as great as it can look. The 4G LTE is connected, and you've got your email settings ready to go at Best Buy Mobile. Let's take a look. Which one's going to win? The 8X, the Xperia TL? Special thanks to our PR partners for giving us review devices. Let's find out in the dogfight, which starts right now. Alright, part 2 of a dogfight battle between two competing platforms, two competing manufacturers, two competing devices, but they're on the same carrier, at least in this dogfight for the holiday season. This is the HTC Windows Phone 8X, also just known as the HTC 8X. It's coming to AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile by the holiday season. This is the AT&T version. Now, specs-wise, similar across the board. 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. Got a 4.3-inch display here, an 8-megapixel camera on back with a 1080p HD video recording capability, 1,800 milliamp hour non-removable battery, and of course Windows Phone 8. Where the difference is, this has 4G LTE, the T-Mobile version will have HSPA+, and of course the Verizon version will have 4G LTE capabilities as well. Then you've got the Sony Xperia TL over here, packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, a 4.55-inch HD display, so both of these are HD 720p displays, and then over here, you've got, over here rather, you've got a 13 megapixel camera, 1080p HD video recording, 1,850 milliamp hour battery over on this device, and of course you're running Android 4.0 with Sony's Timescape user interface over here. Let's jump right back into browsing, because that's what we're going to show off here to start off part 2. Now, PhoneDog's loaded up 4G LTE in the Dallas area, been very nice on AT&T. Portrait to landscape transitions, nice and fast. Now, granted, AT&T out of the LTE carriers, probably the second most rolled out LTE, if you will. Verizon obviously way ahead of the crowd with over 400 LTE markets rolled out in America. AT&T is a little bit further behind, and then Sprint is even further behind AT&T in terms of 4G LTE rollouts. That said, very impressive speeds all around on AT&T's 4G LTE. In Dallas, I average between 15 and 35 megabits per second, depending on where I'm at in the city and the time of day. The portrait to landscape transitions are nice and fast here, and of course, the pinch to zoom is very responsive as well. You've got a Snapdragon S4 CPU powering both of these devices. I really don't think you're going to have any trouble browsing the web. My recommendation, though, if you have an Android device, if you get the Xperia TL or any other Android device this holiday season, download the Google Chrome browser. I've been really impressed all around with the performance here. I like the screen look and feel. I like the effects, as you can see here, with the different tabs, the different screen effects. And of course, I've got PhoneDog's page loaded up here. Shortcuts include back, forward, favorites, my new tabs, requesting the desktop site, and more. And still, portrait to landscape transitions, nice and fast. But the on-screen animations here, very impressive, like I said, when you're looking at the various tabs. So browsing pretty decent on both of these devices. Where you get a benefit is when it comes to overall portrait to landscape transition. It's definitely gotten better, far better on Android. Timescape does a great job. Of course, this has Android 4.0 running atop it. And then over here, Windows Phone 8. But I'm saying portrait to landscape transition is really nice and fast all the way over here, as you can see on this device. Just in anything I do, from messaging to browsing, portrait to landscape transitions, nice and fast all around. So let's take a look here at speed test. I'm actually going to run the speed test over here just so you can get an idea of what AT&T's LTE speeds look like in the Dallas Metroplex. And we'll come over here and make sure, got that set up, and let's make sure we're going to begin the test here just so you can see. And while we're doing that, we're going to take a look over here at the Microsoft Store. So I'm going to let that run in the background so you can see that. Well, over here, now they're rebranding this as the Microsoft Store. No longer is it called Windows Phone Marketplace or anything like that. Windows Phone Store. So I can come in here, or Microsoft Store rather. So I've got a couple of different stores within stores. I've got AT&T featured, HTC apps. So I come in here and see the HTC stuff, most of which has been pre-installed on the device out of the gate. And then over here I have AT&T featured apps, quite a bit of which has been pre-installed as well. The benefit to Windows Phone 8, you can uninstall most of the AT&T stuff here. So for example, Family Map, I can get rid of it, uninstall it, and be good to go. So I can take care of that, whereas over here, the AT&T bloatware on the Android device is here to stay. Now take a look on the Xperia TL, 25 megabits per second on the download, about 10 megabits per second on the upload. And you know what, I'll tell you what, I'll run Quadrant Standard over here while we're talking about some of the changes to Windows Phone 8, because arguably in terms of operating systems, this is the newer version of something that we need to take a look at, whereas over here, we've had Android 4.0 for some time. Finally, we're starting to see it roll out to more places. Now you've got wallet over here on this device as well. I can link apps, I can protect. So we can get started and take a look at the wallet. I've got my AT&T account for app purchases, my deals. And let's take a look here and see what we can do. We'll edit this. I can personalize, change the account details. And let's see what we got here. Billing address, billing phone number. Let me pull this away and see if this pops up. Okay, good. So I can edit the billing address, change all this stuff around and more. We're going to discard that because we didn't really do anything. And then we'll go ahead and go to, let's go ahead and add an account. I can add a Microsoft gift card. I can do PayPal, credit or debit card. And I can add those for app and music purchases and more. So wallet integration here is really great. And of course, NFC integration is pretty big here as well. We'll go into settings and take a look. So you can see down here, Beats Audio also pre-installed. So if you're somebody that listens to music on a regular basis, you have a pair of iBeats or something of that nature, one of the regular Beats headphones, you're going to really enjoy this, the way this is set up because it does have Beats integration. Out of the box as part of HTC's partnership with Beats, so that's really nice. Tap and send here, turned on. NFC sharing is turned on, so I can share photos, websites, contacts, and more. And of course, other NFC-capable devices, one of which is the Xperia TL. Now, quadrant standard finished up. Let's see what we got here. Unfortunately, it looks like I lost it. We'll let that run again really quickly, and we'll take a look at pictures after that. But NFC sharing turned on here, and that's a nice feature as well. Finally coming to Windows Phone 8. Of course, 4G LTE connectivity, although it's frustrating that I can't keep the battery meter up here at the top. And then, of course, I've got Maps integration. Now, this has an 8 megapixel camera on it with 1080p HD video recording. Overall, I've been relatively impressed with the picture quality here on this device. That said, some people have been unimpressed. I think it's just as good as some of the other HTC devices on the market, the One X, the Evo 4G LTE. I'm going to bring over my keyboard so you can take a quick look at this. I'm actually going to wait for this one to finish up first before we do that. That way we can have a consistent between an 8 and a 13 megapixel and kind of compare side by side and see which one looks the best. But in the meantime, take a quick look at People Hub. I do like the fact that I can integrate my Twitter, my Facebook accounts, and really see what's new across the board. So it's all about connecting and bringing the information down that's most relevant to you. So for example, me, and then I have Local Scout, which I really enjoy this application. Some nice new improvements to this. So for example, eat and drink, it'll show me what's around my office where I can take a look and see what I can eat and drink, what I can see and do. Love this feature. And of course, let's go ahead and do this before it goes off. Quadrant standard 4,628 over on this. 4,628 over on the Xperia TL. For whatever reason, this is taking its sweet time. Let's try this again and see what we can do here in terms of eating and drinking. What if I really want to eat and drink. Let's do this. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. Looks like it's taking too long. We may have to back out of this and just go into the camera. I'm not quite sure why it's having this issue. Looks like the data is taking its time. You got a 13 megapixel camera. We're going to jump into the camera because we don't have time for AT&T's network issues. So we're going to go into camera, for example, and take a look at this right here. So we're going to go in here, and you've got a physical button on both of these devices, which is really nice because you got the button here, half press to focus, full press to take a picture. And so I can take the picture. And what I really love is the integration here between the actual live camera and then the gallery. I can just swipe right back and forth and easily access when I took at the shop when I was getting my inspection sticker. And of course, pinch to zoom here. Very responsive on this device with little to no lag, and then I can flip and go right back to the live camera. And I've got a couple of different options here. I can find more lenses. I can flip it around with the front-facing camera. Take a picture and easily, ooh, that's scary. And then go right back to my rear, and I've got my 1080p HD video recorder there. And let's take a look at this one also and bring it over. Beautiful images over here. I've been really impressed all around with this device. Still really struggling to find out whether, I think the image quality is really clear here. Where I think this device drops the ball is they don't have enough editing options within the camera application itself. So beautiful images you can see here. Great for a $100 device. The fact that I'm getting a 13 megapixel camera on a $100 device is absolutely phenomenal. That said, you don't get those features that you get on the One X or the Galaxy S3. Some of those nice features like coming in here, for example, you can see you can change the resolution, the capturing method, geotagging, smile detection. You've got some nice features. But again, you don't get those features out of the gate that are kind of integrated in with the camera experience, like sharing pictures with S-Beam or doing stuff like a buddy photo share, things like that. The fact that those are integrated well into the software on the Samsung Galaxy S3 and Note 2, and then on the One X and the Evo 4G LTE, some of the image sense features, absolutely love those. Flip over here, for example, and I've got this, and that's great. But I don't have the ability to take still pictures, and that's kind of frustrating. So again, keeping in mind this is $100, a fantastic camera all around, but that said, they still need some of those image features that some of the other devices have, or I'd like to see it on stuff or devices like the One X, the Evo 4G LTE, the Galaxy S3, the Note 2. I'd like to see some of those features kind of ported over to some of these devices in the $100 price point. But then again, by the same token, I'm not dumb. I understand that that's why. I mean, some people may tell you I'm dumb, but I'm actually not dumb. Depending on which device you go with, that's why you spend $200 or $300 as opposed to $100. It's really getting to the point now where all the hardware is really kind of the same. And when you get into a $100 or a $200 or a $300 price point, it's really becoming more and more about the software bonuses all around as opposed to the feature or to the hardware stuff. Because really, most of these devices have dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPUs, or maybe if you're lucky, a quad-core CPU. You know, with that said, it's all about the hardware and the ecosystem as to what's most important to you. Now, it's going to be a tough call for a lot of people this haul. These are really great phones, and I keep really struggling in these dogfights because they're really, really fantastic all around. That said, the winner of this dogfight, can I get a drum roll? Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. The winner of this dogfight is the HTC Windows Phone 8X. I really think this thing stands an awesome chance this holiday season. It's thin, it's light, it looks fantastic. I mean, I love the color scheme. I love the fact that they're branching out from typical black and typical white. They're really going into some great color schemes here, and they're making this available across a couple of different carriers. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile in the States. I'd still love to see the kind of carrier intercompatibility that we've seen with the Galaxy S3 and the Note 2, where it's like Samsung launches a device and it automatically launches on 5 carriers. I'd love to see this on Sprint as well and some of the regionals in the US. That said, this is going to sell really well, and I think this is where HTC didn't do as well with the One X and the One X Plus. They're getting it out to a couple of different carriers, thus increasing the potential of it selling, thanks to the fact that it's available to multiple millions now instead of just one carrier, where you may have to switch if you want to get the device or decide whether you want to switch or keep a device on your own carrier. The marketing strategy here is much better to get this device on 3 carriers. Xperia TL, don't get me wrong, is fantastic. It's a great Android choice, and for $100, honestly, you can't go wrong with either of these devices. That said, there's a lot of promise here. Microsoft's doubling down. I hate that phrase, but they're doubling down with Windows 8, with Windows Phone 8. I think in a couple of months to a couple of years, you're going to have a great ecosystem right here. And combined with some nice hardware, this is something worth looking at. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage of the 8X and the Xperia TL. In the meantime, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think at PhoneDog_Aaron. Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. And then, of course, on our main channel page, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Check out the Greatest Tech Giveaway Ever 2. We're giving away some awesome smartphones. And be sure to let me know what you think on both of these devices. It's a hot holiday season. I'd love to hear from you as to what's most exciting on the market. Is it Windows Phone? Is it Android? Is it the iPhone 5? Let me know on Twitter and on Facebook. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.